Dudes who moan when speeping or pissing in a public toilet. Why? I'll never forget overhearing a mom and little boy in a stall. Little boy is on the toilet. Tiny sneakers hanging inches off the floor. Mom's feet to the side. The kid is grunting. Mom keeps whispering, "Timmy. Shh." Kid keeps grunting. Mom again. "Shh." Kid yells, "I'm not done." Og. It was so funny. Poor kid needed to eat more fruit. Had a dude at my gym sit down, crumble up his newspaper, and loudly exclaim, "All right, let's see what we can do," and proceeded to make as much noise as humanly possible. I was in the bathroom at work and a dude walked in and said, "It's trumpet time," as he walked into the stall. I heard a dude say, "Get out of me," while grunting at taking a speep in the bathroom at the bar I go to. Weird. WHO. Does. Number 2. Work. 4. That's right, buddy. You show that turd who's boss. I was sitting in a 3-stall restroom at McDonald's. There was another man in the stall next to mine. I was minding my business when a guy came in like what sounded like a weird attempt at step dancing. He rushed in the stall 2 doors to my left, still hastily step dancing as he struggled to open his pants. He then finally sat down and nothing. Silence. This weird moment must have been like 2 seconds, but it felt like 10. Then I hear his flush, and as the flushing noise filled the air, he let go what sounded like the trumpets of Jericho. An infernal thunder that must have awakened the gods. As I was 100% sure Thor was watching. How in hell could he have thought that the innocent noise of a flushing toilet would oversound his ass concerto? Then again. Silence. Sitting there in disbelief of what my ears just witnessed, I couldn't help but say, "I still did hear you." The guy next to me literally lost his speep and laughed his ass off. Funniest thing I ever said. I've been chasing that high ever since. He let go what sounded like the trumpets of Jericho. Lamau. If I'm speeping in a public toilet, it has a pretty good chance it's moan worthy. Yeah. That's the right move. So people don't come close to me in public places. I once had a friend whose dad used to just straight up eat garlic. When we asked him why he was carrying around and eating a clove of garlic, he said because it keeps smelly people away. He became the person he was trying to avoid. I once heard a guy moan and then say banana bread after the turd hit the water. Maybe he was estimating the size. Nah, it was his safe word. Better question. Dudes who grip the underside of the stall. Why? Because they don't want to fly up when their ass turns into a rocket engine. What about the shiver when you're done peeing? Vagus nerve has entered the chat. Recently found out elderly people can be put in a state of unresponsiveness due to the vagus nerve while pushing too hard during bathroom time. You can literally speep yourself into blacking out. Undefined. Thank you to the nurses and EMS workers and caregivers in this thread. Not only for your information but your service as a whole. You do amazing work, and I know in many cases it takes a toll. The world is a better place because of you. What's the point in feeling good if nobody knows? Plop yes daddy. I like to say, oops. Keeps them guessing. My friends and I went to the bathroom at Union Station in DC. We all needed a quick pee before our trip, and there was a guy in the stall taking a dump who was literally having an exorcism. It was essentially plop, uck, plop plop, oh sweet Jesus, plop, Mother Mary and heaving. We started cracking up right there and then. Could have been the heroin speeps. Might have been passing something truly enormous in that case. Or just IBS. Who does number 2 work for? Hey. Just grab a hold of something. Bite your lip. And give it hell. Come on. We're gonna get through this. I want a bathroom buddy like that. It adds sin definition defined. I'm in bed and quietly trying to moan to see if it feels similar to pushing out a turd really hard. Report. They feel like different muscle groups. Seriously. It sounds like a peep video the way some guys take a dump. Off peep yes. Please more. I want IT so badly. In my mooth. Wait what? Let me answer your question with another question. Ever see your turd and think I guess a dick that big could go in my ass. So it doesn't just grow when it hits the water like those little foam dinosaurs? You might be eating too much baking soda. To assert dominance. I mean, what do you get to be the alpha of here? Is this something I'd want? Claim to the throne. You can't poop until you take out your butt plug. Edit. Thank you for the gold, you degenerate peep. That's what you think. If you get the right frequency, your ass peep will relax a little bit. And it'll help with the train coming out of the tunnel. No one else going to comment on this reference? Fine. I'll do it. There's no such thing. Cartman. The brown note is real, guys. I had it happen to me once. I have a theory that about 75% of the male population will refuse to speep in a public stall unless they're literally exploding with diarrhea. So this creates an environment where a large percentage of people you encounter in a public restroom are going through itch and defined. Edit 2. Okay. Women's bathrooms are dirty too. Sorry. Never been in one. This. I only go to public toilets if it's really bad. At that point I might not even know that I make any sounds. It's like being in some kind of speep delirium by the time I get to the toilet. The kind that makes your brow covered in a cold dew of sweat. Your eyes roll back and your teeth clenched. At that point you're not thinking of other people around you. You're thinking about how you would rather be at home sounding these burning sirens of hell than partaking in the experience in a place where others might linger in the after effects of your heretical brapping bonanza. Sometimes when I speak I cumin defined. Better than the other way around, I guess. Here's a list of potential reasons. 1. We've been holding it in and we're on the border of a tragedy happening and we just barely make it. The feeling is euphoric and we just have to moan in relief. 2. Sometimes it just takes that little bit of extra oomph to get everything flowing. 3. Constipation and we're having trouble keeping things moving. 4. They might be masturbating. 5. And my favorite. Just to get reactions from people and be weird. Undefined. Option 6. Nasty STI. I had a friend years ago who got a dose of gonorrhea on a drunken night out. He described it as pissing razor blades. I was always so careful after I heard that. God, that sounds so painful. I had a friend who had this idea that public bathrooms were like a free space. He's like, who gives a peep? These people don't know me and I don't know them. So yeah. Apparently he would go all out. Relief of pressure. To attract fellow mates. What I don't understand is why do people have full-on conversations on their phones while taking massive speeps in an airport public bathroom? Undefined. Also, I can't believe after 5 years of Reddit this is the comment that takes off. I'm blessed, thank you all for making my life compete. Edit 2. Thank you everyone who took time out of their day to give my comment some awards. That speep is awesome. That's the time when you should let out a big groan from the next stall over so the person on the other line hears it. I think we answered the original question. If you're uncomfortable with it, give a Hugh Jackman animalistic yell when you speep. Don't let them win. I moan when I poo. It helps evacuate me. Now I am empty. Ah. A hi poo. I like to say whoopsie-doo. Here comes the poo. Rather loudly. It assure people that I am, in fact, pooping. Like many of you, I will normally do what I can to avoid using a public commode. Sure, using the urinal isn't great, but I don't mind using those. Wouldn't be my first choice, but they are okay. But, for the big jobs, I absolutely prefer the porcelain on my home turf. As it were. So, if you find me in a public bathroom, making a solid deposit, you can bet your last farthing that I am having a very bad day. I will want to warn you about how bad of a day I am having. Audibly. Might not be words. Because I might not be capable of them. But if you hear me making noise in a toilet, it's because you need to conclude your business and get out of Dodge. Unless you are wearing better hazmat gear than most folks do even nowadays. Here's an example from about a decade ago. My friends and I went to a rock festival. And a grand time was had by all. But I also got quite the case of constipation while there. And couldn't let go of any solid waste for the 5 days that we were there. Fun was had despite this. Every day of the festival. Time to pack away our tents. Put our bags on our backs and go to the car park came. And it was then, typically while some significant physical exertion needed to occur, that I started feeling like some things were moving in the deep realms of my guts. All the way to the car, I was burping loudly. And upon each release of pressure from my stomach, a twinge, a cramp, a sharp reminder of the degree to which I was, quite literally, full of speep, would issue. We loaded the car and mounted up. The journey from our car parking space to the country road that would lead us from the festival site to some vestige of civilization was about 150 yards. But every bump, sway and jolt of the uneven surface of the car parking area sent dangerous sensations through my entire lower digestive region. I looked at the friend who was driving. He looked at me. I surmised from the look in his eyes that he didn't need telling that we needed to hit the service station as quickly as possible. The half-hour ride from the site to the main motorway and the first service station on our trip home felt like a journey of many years. Each second of it spent sweating. Gray of face. Eyes widened in terror of the potential for an accidental rectal release. The service station rose into view on the horizon. Just as my guts began to not merely gurgle, but thrum with built-up pressure. And when the car stopped, my first instinct was to hurl myself out of the car and sprint to the toilet. I was hindered in my effort by my body telling me that if I wasn't exceedingly careful, I would be unable to hold it until I got situated. So, myself and my two friends all quickly, but carefully, hobbled and waddled our way to the toilets. We ended up in stalls all next to one another. Me in the middle. I had just gotten my trousers to my knees and placed my arse cheeks on the seat when hell's mouth opened and vomited forth the foul, macerated issuance I had been building up for 5 days, drawing from me a whimper and a gasp. The first as of a wounded puppy. The second as of a man being stabbed from within. This would have been bad enough on its own. But my friends, in the stalls either side of me, were also in dire straits, and dealing with their own demonic secretions. Between the three of us, the sounds and smells being created were a thing to behold. A heady mixture of torture scene soundtrack, combined with the smell of rotting corpses and misery is how I would describe it. Periodic paroxysms of evacuative effort occurred from that point on. For about half an hour. Punctuated with everything from moans, to gasps, to coughing. Appeals to the Almighty, and as a result of the pungency of the situation, occasional retching. This sustained bout of activity had left me feeling like I had been firing heavy caliber ammunition from my ring piece, while being punched repeatedly in the guts by a gorilla. I cleaned up, stood up shakily on jellied legs, shrugged on my hoodie, and flushed the toilet. At this same moment, so too did my associates. We washed our hands in silent relief. used the dryers, and left the bathroom. We met up outside the toilet and decided to get some food to tide us over for the journey home. A few hundred miles. 10 minutes later, as we waited in a long line at the Burger King franchise in the service station, we saw three fellows dressed in coveralls and carrying plumbing gear move purposefully in the direction of the toilets, in the company of someone who appeared to be service station management. Yes. When you and three friends are wrecking a service station toilet, just by speeping in it, you will make noises. You wouldn't be human if you didn't.
Leave a like and a comment if you liked the video. Check out more Reddit related video, I am posting them daily. Subscribe to see more Reddit content.